Along with my love of movies comes my love of vampires and wolf tales. Extremely boozy in that I don't like the horrid vampires. I like the slick, mesmerizing you type of vampires. And I come from the era of the Howling, so werewolves are pretty fucking scary all the way across the board for me. This new fad of vampires and werewolves, I remember when I was a child, while I enjoyed vampire movies, I never wanted to be taken by a vampire. These days, they make the fads a complete disconnect. Like, would you really want a Earth with these type of creatures walking? Come the hell on now. But in the fantasy fiction world of art, movies, I am a huge vampire, werewolf type genre fan. Hemlock Grove was a great sordid twist, or at least it began out as a great sordid twist of all of the beast tales we've seen done and redone and PG rated and rated R over and over the last decade, between the True Bloods and the Vampire Diaries and all of the other different genre films and series that continue to come out based on vampires and wolves. I remember some of the first genres as far as the 80s were concerned. Kindred the Embrace was a tale of the beasts and the hierarchy behind who's running what and who's controlling what and who actually is funding this and that. And I have frustration for vampire and wolf films because, like Hemlock Grove, they don't seem to last for longevity. I've given admiration in recent days to the British style, international style filming for their ability to not allow the main actor or actress to be the main part of that story. You have to get involved with that story because they kill their main actors and actresses off so very quickly. A lot of British or international series and films that I've watched, there is no getting attached to who you're looking at because they're pretty much going to get killed off. I kind of found the admirations of that because I've given up on a lot of good works of arts because I'm not a creature of change. I like to see the same actors and actresses. If you start a season or sequel, I want to see the same people. And often if they change even some of the slightest people, I no longer am interested in it. It's something off about it. A good example, best example would be the Batman films. You know, they should have all been unknown after Michael Keaton, but all the different switching of the Batmans, it just takes something away. I like original characters. So British and international films have recently given me a different appreciation to that. I have found a flaw with Hemlock Grove. I gotta know. This started out as such a great, twisted, sordid tale. A great way to twist and kind of reinvent these characters. Was this project never meant to last? Was this project just to kind of teach behind-the-scenes people how to be behind-the-scenes people? What was this project? Was there a lack of commitment from the writers? Or, as I like to recently think, have I found a flaw to the British international style type of filming where there isn't an over-commitment to actors and actresses? Hemlock Grove was written well and acted well. One of the things that immediately caught my attention was the cast of actors. But there still was an air of a awareness of a lack of longevity. Was this project meant to just be temporary? And if it was, I hate that. Why don't vampire, wolf hierarchy, horror series last? One of my favorites in the past was Wolf Lake with Blue Diamond Phillips. A lot of the characters from Wolf Lake are now split up into Vampire Diaries and I thought Wolf Lake was amazing. It wasn't even given the chance to get a good budget to bring across the CGI effects that all of these noun shows get right away. Why couldn't somebody revamp Wolf Lake? Hemlock Grove was a great way to revamp these characters, but the lack of commitment killed the story. The first season was amazing. What caught my attention right off of Hemlock Grove, first of all, was the mystery. I almost gave up. He did awesome with dragging out the mystery as to which kind of beasts were who. But when that mystery was finally unveiled, I was excited for season 2 and season 3 to see how it would come about. The acting stars in this film caught my attention right away. I'm such a movie person, and there are certain type of actors and actresses that grab me to attention as a child, or there's childhood films that I'll just follow the actor's work of art because of the childhood films. And then there's the type of actors or actresses that I follow because I like their works of art. And most of the works of art they're in, I tend to like. So when I saw that one of the leading cast members was Famke Janssen, it got me a little bit intrigued, being that there's so many different horror genres. But again, they did awesome. So awesome with the mystery of the first season of this series. Was this never meant to go further? Why was everything so halted? Did it not get the viewers that it needed? Because I hope this movie Reverence could revamp. Though now the characters would have to change. Famke Janssen, I'm an ex-man lover. So that's the immediate work of art that compelled me to ensure I follow up with any other work of art that Famke Janssen does. And she's kind of a versatile actress. Famke Janssen played Olivia Godfrey. The Godfreys were the ultimate mystery as far as the first season for Hemlock Grove. And I thought the mystery was unveiled so perfectly. And then it just all kind of got let go. In season 2, it was really clear. Is that at what point the writers changed? Which is another reason why is a lack of commitment from a good small handful of writers. When you don't have that commitment, and people don't see the same route that the story should take, and you switch writers and they see it into a different direction, well, for people who are really movie dorks like me, it just kind of messes it up because I could see the shift. Or it might just be one of those who can't talk shit as far as what route I would have taken the season 2 and season 3. But I can't help but wonder if because it did it not get the reviews that it needed? Were the actors not committed to any more than 3 seasons? And if not, that's a shame. Famke Janssen played Olivia Godfrey, who comes to be the adjacent of Dracula. When I say a good perverted twist, a good re-entry into these roles, Dracula has never been introduced in the form of a female, maybe since Morticia, which was a comedy, but not in too many scary ways. And the way that this was carried over and portrayed and stretched to be a mystery throughout the entire season, I was very excited to see what could come of the characters. This role allowed for Famke Janssen to tap into a wide range of acting chops. And I'm curious as to if it was seen that way by some of these actors. Was this just a quick project? I like to think that some actors and actresses that I like choose their work of arts not by the paycheck or just to stay relevant, but because they really believe in their work of art. Again, these are people, and at the end of the day, this is their profession. things come down to money. But again, I like to think that certain actors really look into that. Or was it just a series thrown together quickly to get everybody involved, some quick money? Either way, this role for Mick Jameson, I thought, opened up a wide range of acting chops. It showed her sweet, subtle. It showed what I feel some of the, I like to say, still young, embrace youth, embrace age, but with some of the very beautiful young actresses who are crossing over into that realm of elder or older actresses. No disrespect, but figuring out how to choose the right role that expresses that and that allows you to expand through that. And this is a good start, I feel, with Famke Jameson. I know a lot of the roles have been sci-fi or the pretty lady, but this really allowed a wide range for me in the sense of the cunning, backstabbing bitch that she was. Very believable, soft sense of being. It makes you want to just do whatever, but a cold, conniving bitch she was. Another star that caught my attention immediately. Kudos, Stephen King. Stephen King is what actually made me want to invest my time into the very short Hemlock Grove. And it took me a couple of scenes to realize, hold on, I didn't see Castle Rock. This isn't Castle Rock Entertainment. He's in this as an actor. Unless you've changed your name, Stephen King, and you're branching out under a new entertainment to maybe separate from Castle Rock, I really enjoy seeing you just as an actor. I had to separate for a while that Stephen King style because so many of your movies, you do the small scenes. And your small scenes always drop some type of serious message. So before I realized that it wasn't a Stephen King movie, I kind of still had that Stephen King feel. But when he continued to show up in a couple of more episodes, it dawned on me, hey, he has spread out his acting chops, and I say continue forward, Stephen King. I know for a while it may always seem like it's going to be stuck with the weird horror roles, but I think if you get more into historian type of roles and roles that kind of focus on great people of the past, maybe of your era or historians, when you tap into those type of acting roles, you'll be able to maybe expand from what's boxed you in horror, if that was something that was your aim. But I really was glad to see Stephen King just as an actor. I know they changed their names, they worked behind the scenes, but I would have been honored, any of those cast members, I feel, to be on set with such a creepy guy for a horror flick. And it brought it home for me because there were certain things in the beginning of Hemlock Grove that stuck with me. I stick with anything once I pretty much decide I'm going to watch it. But there are some things where it's just like, when it comes to series. Movies I stick with regardless. But series, I don't really like to get into things where it's got to be too regular. Hemlock Grove, for Mick Jameson as Olivia Godfrey and Stephen King's role is what definitely made me take notice. There were some other good major stars in this film. The Grace Scott, I realized, wow, didn't have a lot of work of arts that I've seen. The work of arts that I have seen that the Grace Scott were in commanded my attention. I have followed and looked for in any films that I see with the Grace Scott, I watch. I pretty much feel that the type of work he does falls in line with the type of weird stories, sensible stories, romance stories, just another all-around versatile actor. There's some actors and actresses that, maybe a lot of them at this time in Hollywood are just figuring out how to not be too boxed. I think maybe the late 90s, early 2000 actors were already starting to figure that out, because so many actors and actresses' careers stop after their heyday. They're unable to figure out how to tap into those other sources, or maybe see themselves in those other sources. Through Grace Scott, with this horror film, I felt what I feel, what I'm wondering is my seeing what could be the flaw to British type, international type style filming. Because while when you were on the screen, your role as Norman Godfrey, the man mesmerized by the beasts, came across the screen. It also came across the screen the lack of commitment. Maybe the unsurety. Was it just a fun little story done for a friend? Was this a story that you picked out and invested in and thought was going to really do more than what it did? Whatever the reasons may be, I felt this may end any day. Or hey, in the next couple of scenes, I'm going to be written out anyway in some type of death. However, the storylines in the first season was set up to continue, and it all just took a turn. And that turn is what I'm so curious about, because the reinvention of these characters I thought were amazing. Norman Godfrey's role in the beginning seasons played opposite of one of what I thought was one of Hemlock Grove's biggest mistakes, not playing up into the role of Madeline Martin's Shelley, quote unquote the glowworm, as Dr. Johann Price referred to her. Shelley would have been the proverbial adjacent of Frankenstein, and the way that these roles were reinvented had such potential for growth. Johann Price, proverbial Dr. Frankenstein, separating the doctor from the drive. Bringing in that while these beasts have abundance of money and own corporations and wield powers, there were still steps to their foundation to help them stay undercover. There were a lot of mistakes in the sense of those characters not being played up, and the reinvention of these characters and where Hemlock Grove I saw going. Two other great stars that made Hemlock Grove just the different twist to the horror genre of beasts. Lily Taylor. Richard Gunn. Lily Taylor is another actress who most of the movies that she plays in are movies that I find myself enjoying. I first recognized Lily Taylor as a child in Mystic Pizza. I'd have to go back and watch Mystic Pizza now as an adult, because there are probably things that my child eyes didn't understand. But for me, I feel I didn't see Lily Taylor for a long time until the movie Ransom. In the movie Ransom, she was in an episode of X-Files. She was in an episode of X-Files. She was blind. So those are the occurrences that I've seen Lily Taylor in each time. While she isn't the type of little quaint, too pretty girl actresses, she's a very beautiful woman, but she commands a different presence with her acting. And I like to think that she chooses the type of roles that makes her have to be creative, to pull that energy, meaning roles that just aren't too flat out boring. Now, that being said, because these are the type of roles Lily Taylor has always played, this time in her career, if she were to switch it up to the more historian roles, the quickest example I can give, which I haven't really taken too notice to, is the Downtown Abbey. When it comes to that type of stuff, I have a lot of novels and books that I like to read where I know the picture of that Lord of the Manor type style movies, but I felt if Lily Taylor was to tap into those style type movies, or the style type movies, maybe country and westerns that shows her the opposite of the wildly charismatic spirit, then the presence that she'll command at this stage in her acting, I wonder if that would maybe revamp it. But I am absolutely a fan of Lily Taylor, because it is clear that she does not want to be placed in the box when it comes to her style of acting. Richard Gunn, while his part came towards the end when I felt the story took a proverbial turn that I embrace and respect, but I just kind of, I felt like, was the turn to bring everybody to their end because the show wasn't pulling the numbers it needed to pull, or because nobody was ever committed to go more than 3 seasons, or was it always meant that way? Because if it was always meant that way, then Hemlock Grove must have just been a practice for back-end people, because the actors did such a good well at setting up the reinvention of these beasts that we've all come to know at a certain way. This was a great reinvention for these characters. You'd have to see it or be a type of vampire or wolf person to maybe, for what I'm saying, to kind of be put together. Some of the other great impacting parts of Hemlock Grove, which I really hope got just as much acknowledgement as some of the main stars. Joe de la Fuente. I like saying your name. I hope I'm saying it correctly. Joe de la Fuente played Johann Price. He was the Dr. Frankenstein. He was the brains. And one of the things that came across with Johann Price's role, with most of the kind of creepy doctors, you get real freaking creepy, or see that you're cutting people the hell up. They always seem to go for brainy, Asian-looking characters, actors, actresses. Joe de la Fuente. Johann Price. I thought that your interpretation of the quote-unquote mad scientist was amazing, and I really see a spin-off of Johann Price. I would like to know more about the little boy turned to mad scientist. You balance such a soft sentiment and sadistic nature. It actually was really scary. It kind of made me feel apprehensive about the fact that there are possibly real people in the world that carry that type of soft sensibility with a sadistic ass nature behind it. I like to think that, or let's just say I'm so conceited enough to think that my movie references will just fall on the ears of everyone that hears it, and they'll hear the respect from me when I say this character's role could be a spin-off Netflix. Now to the other main characters. While I have the respect, Bill Skarsgard played Roman Godfrey, the other star of Hemlock Grove. Bill Skarsgard is at the beginning of his career, and I would like to say, as far as Hemlock Grove goes, it started out as the entire first season build the role of Olivia and Roman Godfrey up. You were on the edge of your seat to know, well, what the hell are they already? And when it was finally revealed, I was absolutely ecstatic to see what was going to traverse from the second season. It was clear to me, because I love acting and I'm getting into international and British films a lot more, they choose actors that are baby faces, but they're already kind of senior. Well, Bill Skarsgard did a very good job at being the unrealized beast to the realized beast. And when they ended the season 1, the way it was set up to come and for him to manifest into the new era Dracula, like I said, a different twist. The Godfreys, not vampires, raw or rootbuyers, whatever they name themselves. They didn't actually call themselves vampires. There was actually a lot of hidden things in Hemlock Grove, to where is that what Hemlock Grove was? Not really meant to continue on as a series, but a way to drop some of the secret unknowns, quote unquote, science fiction, witchcraft realm. There were a lot of things that were dropped that over the history of paranormal have been said to be how you tap into these things. For instance, the role of destiny, romantic. She was a very good role, but I swear, if she had to freaking throw up any more times just to say we need to stay away from this, I wanted to say, bitch, every time you eat the throw up and your psychic shit tell you that it's bad, it's always bad. So shouldn't you just pretty much say it's bad before you eat the throw up? Man, such a gross part. But the some of the rituals and the things that she went through, I recognized from other work of arts, of course, and even other telltale signs. At the end of the day, once you check out of these things, you go back to real life and you get back to what matters. Roof over your head, water, family, air. However, Bill Skarsgard, I thought, carried over the energy he needed to carry for this role. While I've always loved vampire, werewolf films, I kind of shriek from the type of vampires that all they are is attractive or can make you do what they want you to do, but when there's kind of like nothing else going on, it's kind of like, okay, well, that pretty much sucks. Like, you don't have anything else that you do, you know. Even the old school vampires or Draculas turned into a bat and could fly the fuck away. And it was coming kind of apparent, but they did so well leaving Hemlock, the first season, leaving Hemlock Grove a mystery. That's why I have to believe that it did. It maybe didn't get the funding or the support that it needed, because I cannot see the writing being done so well for a revamp of these characters for it to be trailed off and abandoned the way it was, in my opinion. I mean, where the main characters just not signed on to it. A lot of what Stephen King does, he does short flicks, but this wasn't his film. Was it just a short flick? I felt like it wasn't, because why not set it up that way? It was set up to last, and I thought that it would, and I hope that it should, that it would return. But to me, it ended like this. This is the end of Hemlock Grove. Roman Godfrey's role, Bill Skarsgard, you did a great job. Season 2 and Season 3 did not play up to Roman Godfrey the way it should be, and I would acclaim the writer's fault for this. You can only act, in a sense, when you're not dealing with improvisation, with what you're putting in front of you, where they want the storyline to go. And where they wanted the storyline to go is what curved your acting chops for me, Bill Skarsgard. And not really your acting chops, but you're having to rearrange that role to go into a more of a pussyfoot for this werewolf instead of the badass corporation running Dracula that they ended season 1 with. The role with the kid I thought was amazing. So many different areas. But see, everybody in the world can come up with, oh, they should have did it this way, they should have did it that way. That's not what this is. What I'm trying to show respect to is that this writing and this story and the revamp of these characters was put together so well. I hated to not see more of it. And I hated to see such a great build-up of writing be abandoned, is what it is to me. So not actually a rewrite, but as the direction seeing these characters were going and where they ended up turning, which ended up turning them to their death and ending Hemlock Grove. So if it was for a lack of support, I want to go for a supporter of Hemlock Grove. Yeah, and I review movies when I want to review them. If it's 10 years ago, I'm going to review it. If it's current, I'm going to review it. London Laborian played Peter Rumenchik. He was the werewolf. in this film. Now, Peter Landon Laborian has Landon Liboron. I'll have to get listening to make sure I'm pronouncing his name right. But he played Peter Vernansik, which was the other co-star of Hemlock Grove as the werewolf. Now, this gentleman, this actor, has a very decent career as it stands with type of sci-fi genre type films. I believe he been in roles, played in Terra Nova, The Grassi. There were some other roles that I think gave the casting the idea that he would be able to be the werewolf, the main werewolf of Hemlock Grove. For me, while I enjoy Landon in other work of arts, I did not think he commanded the intimidating presence that the werewolf needed. Not that he could have been another entity in the werewolf's life, but for me, he didn't command that intimidating presence. There were some times during the 3 seasons that he had to kind of growl it, or they kind of green lighted those eyes, and each time he did, he just kind of wanted to squeeze those cheeks. You didn't get the "oh shit, I'm scared" type of feeling. To be honest, one of the other let go mistakes of the movie of Hemlock Grove, Freya Tingley's role as the scary ass white wolf. She, as a child, or she actually is a young lady. She's a lot older than the role she played in Hemlock Grove, but Freya Tingley's role as the white wolf was a lot more goddamn devastating than the actual main wolf, Peter Romanchik. And I thought that was one of the lasting mistakes of the movies, along with not playing up the quote-unquote Frankenstein role in Shelley, not playing the opposite villainous role, or another additional villainous role to Olivia Godfrey with the character of Freya Tingley, Christina. I can't think of her. She just became the scary ass white wolf. She became a scary ass white wolf, and it was an awesome setup to create the good and the bad for the future of Hemlock Grove. So just another one of those areas. So Freya Tingley. Gonna be editing out these names. Freya is a young actress whose work of art, because of this role in Hemlock Grove, I will follow and give a chance, and think that it might turn out to be the type of work of art that I like because of her role in the presence that she brought across as the proverbial jealous white wolf who commanded more presence than the main wolf. In fact, he should have been made the white wolf, and she should have been the scraggly gray looking wolf. But again, I thought that also the CGI effects for those wolves and for when they broke from human, one of the things that I thought failed with Wolf Lake, one of the other beginning analogies of a werewolf hierarchy family series, one of the mistakes, or one of the things I think people couldn't give it a chance to, is because when they transfer into a wolf, it was pretty booty. In the beginning, all shows have to start somewhere. They have a budget. You know, they get viewers, they get more budget, then you start seeing the effects and the stuff get better. And that's what was happening with Wolf Lake. Wolf Lake started out with some pretty suck-ass scenes from human to werewolf. You know, you would just kind of see a human 1 minute, and then they would just stoop down, and then they would show a wolf running through the woods. So Hemlock Grove's special effects I give a freaking thumbs up to, for not only the way the wolves transformed and retransformed, the werewolves transformed and retransformed from their human to beast form, but also the way it was spread it out. You didn't see too much of it. You saw it when you needed to see it. And what to me that showed was that somewhere someone was looking at the budget of the CGI. and where you really needed to see it, where it needed to be impacted, versus just having them switch over to werewolf frivolously, which might have been one of the failures of one of the beginning shows, Wolf Lake. But kudos, Freya Tingley. I'll be following your career because of the presence you brought across with the White Wolf. Another mistake, another lost opportunity for future storylines, if you will. Again, did these people, are British films or international films inability to commit to actors? Does it cause them to lose good acting characters? Do they commit to other projects and it's like, hey, I'm committed to this other project, and in the meanwhile you've ruined this project? Kevin Hanchard was a great addition. I almost just wanted him to go. I hated finding out that Olivia actually murdered him, but he is another actor whose career I will follow as far as the presence he brought in this role. It wasn't a heavily written character, but again, the energy and the presence made you want more. Now, this was another role. This is another role that they could have cultivated when he was X that out about Kevin Hanchard. Okay. Another opportunity that was missed to create future villains for the Godfreys and the Romantics and the Beasts of Hemlock Grove. Tom Sworn, Sheriff Tom Sworn. Why would they come back season 2 eliminating a perfect opportunity to one? I felt that between Tom Sworn and Norman Godfrey's wife, those were two lost mistakes. Let's see, those were two lost mistakes. The lady that played